get it. They're going for that whole Michael Myers thing. Nobody's a bigger fan of horror movies than I am, especially Michael Myers, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees kind of thing. And they're going for that with The Fiend. But if you're going to do that, don't make the match 25 minutes. Don't make it 20 minutes. Make it 4 to 5 in like a Brock Lesnar match. I don't want to see The Fiend selling, which is what he was doing, only to no-sell certain things. The booking behind it's illogical. It doesn't really make much sense. He was set on fire. There was it's like an inside job. I don't know. He was set on fire. He was exploded, and then sticking a couple fingers in Seth Rollins' mouth, and he's crying like a little baby. So there's that, man. It was. I'll give it a star and a quarter, and that's being very generous. Very generous. I think they have to change the lighting thing, though, right? Like that's got to be brutal for the people in the audience as well.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep trying that. They've tried that at different times over the years. I remember when Kane first started wrestling, he had the red lights. I think Sin Cara had some sort of special lighting.
Blue. Yeah, he had the blue and yellow.
Yeah, so it doesn't really work for extended periods of time. It was actually kind of hard to see some of the things that were happening with the red lighting. I don't know how it was for the fans, at the show, but yeah, that's probably not something they should stick with. I would definitely go away from that, especially if he's going to be a guy now that's carrying a title on one of the major two shows, like seemingly SmackDown. It seems like so you probably can't go with that long term. So it'll probably go away eventually. It'll quietly, but they're not there yet.
This is an impromptu 5 count. It's not really a 5 count, but yesterday when we were texting as you were watching the show, you said there were at least 5 points where you LOL'd throughout the show.
Yes.
Can you detail me the 5 lol-worthy spots that you can remember?
I think the first one was when Cain Velasquez tapped out in less than 2 minutes to Brock Lesnar via Kimura. That was one. I think another one was the Viking Raiders taking a clean pin for the first time since they've been on the main roster at the end of a tag team turmoil match that seemingly, well, I guess it did crown the best tag team in the world. So I won't say that it meant nothing, but it was something. So that was another one. I think there was one. I don't know when it was. It was. I guess it was right.
You
before.
Actually. You just laughed thinking about it. That's awesome.
I think there was right before the 10-man tag, Byron Saxton joined commentary, I believe. And they referenced the skit earlier in the show or right before that where I think he was talking with Hogan about something and Hogan gave him like a nickname of some sort, like, I don't know, Beautiful Byron or something like that. Yeah. And as soon as Saxton sat down, Michael Cole said, "Oh, I know what team you're rooting for." And I was like, I don't know if he does. So that was another one. I'm not sure I can remember too many others at this point. I can't remember what else was on there. I'm sure the R-Truth stuff was pretty stupid. I think he ran into a door at one point and lost his 24/7 title. So that there was a few things like that, I guess, were just the stuff that stuck out to me. I think Tyson Fury walking out in Saudi Arabian garb, that was another one. So things like that. I mean, they're relatively harmless stuff, I guess. But those are the things that made me laugh. So you can't say that I wasn't entertained. I can at least say that much. So.
There was a battle royal at some point
on the pre-show. There was a battle royal. That's the one match I did not see because I picked it up just before the main card went on. Where the winner got a title shot at AJ Styles' U.S. title.
That makes a little more sense. Why would you pin both of your tag team champions in a tag team turmoil and not make them win the best tag team in the world, Joe?
I assume that they had the New Day pin the Revival because they were supposed to wrestle on SmackDown tonight for the SmackDown tag titles. So my assumption is that they had the New Day win that, and they were going to have the Revival win on SmackDown. I don't know if that match is happening or not tonight. I'm guessing it's not happening because of the travel issues. So I think that's why they did that one. I don't know why they did the War Raiders versus the OC, because I think the Viking Raiders have beaten the OC a couple of times already on television. So I don't know if they want to try to set up a feud between those two teams, but they could have probably done it another way. I would have just had the War Raiders win, so that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah. Out of 10, what do you give the entire show as a whole?
12 rupees. No, I don't know.
What's a rupee?
I think it's currency of India. I don't know. I probably like a 4, I guess. I would give it a 4.
You know what's embarrassing is the fact that you said out of all the Saudi Arabian shows, this is the best one, and you've given it a 4.
Well, I think some of the other ones are pretty bad, right? Like I think there was, there was some pretty
Goldberg
bad.
And, the Goldberg and who was that?
Goldberg Undertaker was on these shows. I remember they did Triple H and Orton on one of these shows. They did DX versus Undertaker and Kane, I think, on one of these shows. I can't remember everything else that they did, but there's things of that nature were happening. So if you can eliminate they did the Shane, right? Wasn't the Shane won the Best in the World tournament at one of these shows as well? So it's 5 stars. You give it 5 stars. What's going on?
No, I just have a question. WCW did a World Tag Team Tournament. I think it was the Pat O'Connor Memorial Cup. Do you remember that? It was the World Cup.
No, I don't know. There was a World Cup in TNA, I think.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go to the WCW one because I knew that one. But that was for the best tag team in the world, the World Cup. They had Native Americans, they had Canadians, they had American, they had French, they had English teams, all from said country. When it's a world championship, you tend to have people from other countries. Not a bunch of white dudes from America in 8 of your 10 teams. Okay? So it was more, you know what it was? I'm not gonna go down that road. All I'm gonna say is they could have done better. And they had to face the same thing when they made Shane the best in the world. It's not good, Joe. Not good. And speaking of not good, have you read Joey Mercury's tweets today?
Well, I don't really think that they're readable.
Legible.
I've tried to read them, and I just couldn't follow. I may not be bright enough to understand. But I did read an article that summarized his tweets, and at least give me some sort of a breakdown as to what points that he was trying to get across. So I have done that, yes.
The good people over at, I believe it was 411 Mania, right? They gave us that breakdown that you sent me, and they did a heck of a job. What I'm getting out of this, help me understand. Kelly Klein got hurt, possibly a concussion. They flew her overseas anyway. The medical staff sucks or there is no medical staff when Flip Gordon broke his elbow or dislocated it. Brody King and Bandito put it back in the socket. Shane Taylor is not going to be re-signed on January 1st. And just it's almost nonsensical babble. But I guess if you're able to get that out of it, I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but it had the ramblings and the coherency of somebody that was not of the right state of mind. Is that fair to say?
I think so. I think he admitted as such that he's on some sort of variety of medication at somewhere in there. I don't know, but yeah.
And then BJ Whitmer and Kelly Klein, who are married, came out and agreed with Joey Mercury. So, but everybody else, dude, imagine being Jay Lethal this week, or just Ring of Honor as a whole. Jay Lethal wakes up middle of the week, and ACH is calling him slang, racial, derogatory terms. Ring of Honor is just minding their business, and ACH is an F Ring of Honor too, and they're just what? I feel like it's a rough stretch for Ring of Honor. I mean, the shows have been good. They don't have the names they used to have by any stretch of the imagination. The viewership is down. They can't draw a house in New York City. ACH is saying Ring of Honor doesn't promote black wrestlers. Now Joey Mercury is coming out and saying they have no medical staff and their management sucks. Like, are we? And I, as a guy that loves Ring of Honor, I know you love Ring of Honor. Is Ring of Honor circling the drain?
Well, I think they're definitely having some rough times for sure. Some of the stuff I haven't quite been able to piece together in terms of, like, so first of all, if ACH is saying that they don't promote black wrestlers, I don't know that I agree with that, just because Jay Lethal is like the longest tenured Ring of Honor champion in history in terms of his title reigns. Shane Taylor, who is the television champion, so is another thing, but some of it doesn't add up to me. So, like, he's not going to get re-signed. I mean, he's a TV champion. It just doesn't seem. I don't get why you wouldn't. If they're struggling for talent, why wouldn't you re-sign guys like Shane Taylor and Bandito? I guess that would be my first question.
I agree. And to piggyback on the ACH thing, he complained and he was pissed off because they didn't send him to Japan, right? I mean, they sent over Jonathan Gresham to Japan. I don't know. Just there's a lot of stuff that just didn't make sense to me. But you're right. Like, Shane Taylor. That dude's a stud as a TV champion. Wouldn't you say, like, I know you and I have been watching the shows on demand. His matches have consistently been some of the best matches on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's done a nice job. I mean, he won the TV title. I was surprised when he won it. I think he won it in a 4-way. But he's done a nice job, at least, like, carrying himself as a champion, putting on good matches when, he's given that opportunity. I don't really have any issue with him as the television champion, and now he's got a little, an angle going with the Shane Taylor promotions, and he's got a team that comes out with him and stuff. So I don't have any issue with that at all. I think he's been doing a nice job, and it's just surprising for me to hear that if that's true, that they're not going to re-sign him and that he's only going to be there for another 2 months. I mean, I don't know why you would let somebody like him go when he's one of the more entertaining parts of the show, in my opinion, right now.
And the booking has protected him as such, right? It's not like I wouldn't, like you said, he's a TV champion. They haven't, quote unquote, booked him out either. Like, they've been booking him strong. I find it hard to believe they're going to be like, all right, now let's get him to job to Silas for 6 weeks in a row. No, like, they put money into Shane Taylor and Shane Taylor promotions. The angle, they have him, like, show the highlight packages when they mention his name. I think it's really cool stuff, and I think he was great with Keith Lee as the Pretty Boy Killers, and now he's really kind of coming into his own as a TV champion. So I hope that's not true. But I don't know. I don't know what to believe with this whole Joey Mercury thing. Who knows if it's ramblings of a dude or if it's... I really don't know. I just don't know what to believe.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some sort of in-between point. If BJ Whitmer and Kelly Klein, who I think still works for the company since she's the women's champion, are backing up his claims, I'm sure there's a level of legitimacy to what he's saying. Whether he's exaggerating some of it or not, I mean, I don't know. But I just don't know. Even that aside, I still don't even necessarily understand like what the direction is for Ring of Honor with their main guys going forward, because in his rants, right, Mercury said that they're not going to re-sign Shane Taylor, whose contract runs out in January. I think he said they weren't going to re-sign Bandito, whose contract runs out, I think, in like February, which I don't know why you would do that. And then I don't know what they're doing or what Marty Scurll is doing in terms of his future. I kept hearing it this whole year almost that his contract was up. I don't really know. Yeah, first I heard April, then I heard September, then I heard like end of the year. So I don't know what they're doing with him, but he's not exactly been jobbing out either. He's been put into different positions. I guess he's probably one of, if not the most popular guy that they have on the show. So I don't know what they're going to do with that either. Like if he leaves,
yikes.
I don't know. And then their main event for Final Battle is Roosh versus PCO. So I don't have.
And they said Roosh. They also said Roosh's contract was up in February.
Yes, yeah. So it's very, it's very confusing. If you don't re-sign those guys, I mean, then what do you really have left? You basically have like Taven and Lethal and Dalton Castle, who's lost a lot of steam over the last year or so. So I don't know.
Mark Haskins, bro.
Well, what's the deal with all those guys too, man? I don't know what their anybody's contract situation is. Obviously, I mean, they started that whole lifeblood thing, and then half the guys